Hi, I'm Nemo Harding, and this is the Gripmaster instructional video. And I recommend you go ahead and get out your Gripmaster and instruction book. Have them in front of you. That way, while I'm going through all the many different positions of the tool, you can take a look at the different parts and see how they relate to one another. And also, let me point out, the book is very, very complete and easy to understand. You'll notice on every position, on top we show you what attachments you're using, it explains it next to it, and down in the photograph we show you how they're positioned. So you always want to keep the book handy while you're learning how to use the tool. It's very clear and easy to read. So let's get started. Pull out your clamping unit, and of course the two bench clamps come attached to it. Pull those off, and let me show you a couple features of the tool itself. First of all, we have a quick release jaw. This black button inside, you simply push that. You can slide the jaw quickly and easily to any position that you need. And on the other end, the handle works like a ratchet. You slide it up on the nut to tighten or loosen. Once you have it positioned where you want, pull it free. That way it's not in your way. You can't bump into it and disturb your work. And by itself, it makes one heck of a C-clamp. You have a 5.5-inch throat, big 4-inch grips here instead of those little buttons you always have to block off with a regular C-clamp. Now let's take a look at the bench clamps. They work on a cantilever principle. Now they are spring-loaded, and that's for convenience, so it'll stay on the vise while you attach it. But the tightening is done when you tighten in here, it pushes out here. It's a cantilever action. It works very well for holding the vise, but not only that, it'll work on any round stock up to 3/4 of an inch. Here I have a piece of all thread. Simply slip your bench clamps on wherever you need them, and again those springs hold it in place while you attach them, and slide it onto your work surface and tighten it down. In this position, it'd be handy for cutting this piece of all thread. It works on pipe up to 3/4 inch. If you're going to thread a piece of pipe or using a pipe cutter, take your pipe wrench, put it on the pipe itself, let it turn until it locks against the bench. That'll lock it down and allows you to use a pipe threader and so on. Now, let's go and attach the vise. We'll set up the first position in your book. You get this out of the way. It's called the standard bench vise position. All you need to do is put a clamp on each side. And let me show you one trick. Hold the vise where you're going to place it on your work table or work surface. That way you can figure out how the clamps have to go on. The smooth side always goes up, and that's about all there is to it. If you hold it where you're going to position it, it's very easy to figure out your clamps. Tighten it down. Now these thumb screws require only finger and thumb pressure. Because of that cantilever action, it locks it in very securely. You don't have to bear down on those screws. Of course, you still have your quick release feature here. And one very important feature is the upper and lower jaws. These jaws are lined up, or almost, and I'll show you what I mean here. It does grip top and bottom. When you first tighten down, you notice it grips on top only, and it's still free at the bottom. That's on purpose. That keeps you from springing the tool. And it actually takes another 1/4 turn to lock in those bottom jaws and really get a secure grip. It's kind of like using 2 C-clamps instead of 1. Now it also comes with a number of jaws to go over your standard woodworking jaws. First you have a pair of soft jaws. These are ideal for polished woods, plastics, formicas, anything real delicate that you don't want to put any marring on whatsoever. You can use your soft jaws. Now there's also a set of aluminum jaws. These are primarily when you're working on metal. So you're going to hold your carburetor or something. You don't want to ruin your smooth wood jaws. So you slide these on. It doesn't matter if these get gouged up. And they're also easy and inexpensive to replace if you do damage them. You don't want to ruin your good smooth wood jaws. There's also a pair of tube clamping jaws. Now you notice on these, various different V-grooves here of different sizes. It'll hold just about any kind of round stock. They slide right on. They do pivot. And once you put in whatever you're holding, slide it down, lock it down, it will lock that pivot position so they'll stay where you need it to be held for whatever you're doing. Those are your tube clamping jaws. Now, the vise really becomes unique when you take it off and turn it upside down. And once again, remember my little hint. Hold it or place it where you're going to put it. That way you know how to do your clamps. You can see how they have to go. In this case, you just simply turn them around. Smooth sides up, turn them around, reattach it to the bench. Now, instead of the large jaws, I have small 3/8 of an inch jaws. This is I use it more upside down, frankly, at my house than I do right side up. This is ideal for top of the bench work, what we call routing, you're sanding, you're planing. Anytime you want to hold something smooth to the top of the bench, no C-clamps in your way, you can work completely around it. It's a very handy position. Slide it out for cross-grain sawing. It's nice because you don't need a leg, or you don't have to get the missus out here to sit on the end of the board. It holds it securely. You have both hands for your power tools, so it's for safety. It's a real good grip. Now, after you've made your cuts, I think the hardest thing to do in woodworking, always has been for me, is trying to hold two pieces at a right angle when you're nailing or screwing, doweling, whatever you're doing. You always need to get out that paint can or something, prop up the other end. This is where you use all the jaws at once. And I want to point out again, you notice that it grips here first. And we're not locked in on top yet, which is ideal. That way you can position your wood in here, set your other piece on top. Depending on which way you want to go, maybe you want to bring this one up. You can get everything lined up, put your square on there, then simply give it that quarter turn to lock it in there. It's held all the way around. You can nail right into that. Dowel, screw, glue. If you're doweling, it's nice because you drill into both pieces at once. And if you're doing shelving or something, it will work the other way. Again, slightly tighten it so you hold the lower board. Position your top board wherever you need it. Slide this back up. You can put your square in here now. I can see by eye that I'm off a little bit there. And then just give it that quarter turn to tighten it down. You can go screw right into it from the top. Nail, dowel, however you're going to hold the two pieces. Works just as easy on mitered corners as well. Now, the only problem you have here, same problem you have with any vise, is you're limited. In this case, we open up about 6.5 inches. However, when you want to work wider, all you need to do is take it over to the long side of your workbench. Once again, set it where you're going to attach it. This time we turn our clamps around, and you'll notice in almost every position we have one clamp down here with the stationary jaw by the handle. In this case, rather than just spin it around, I'm going to move this clamp in between the two jaws. Now, by doing that, I free up this edge. I need that to push. And you use it to push against this piece, your end stop, your movable end stop. Now you notice this has that same 3/8 inch lip on there. That's what we're going to push against. So let's attach the clamp to your work surface. And of course the beauty of it is you don't need a workbench. You can do this on scaffolding, 2x4 between sawhorses will work. You can take it and use it anywhere you need it. But now you want to put your work on the bench, set it up close to your jaw so you have an idea of where to place your end stop. You just kind of measure, then you can attach your end stop, clamp it down, and again, finger and thumb pressure. You don't need a wrench to attach these. Lift your wood up on that lip, or whatever you're working on, and simply come down here to tighten it up. That's all there is to it. Now you do your top of the bench work in any size. It's very secure. You have the whole workbench to support it. No C-clamps in your way. Routing, sanding, planing, very good grip. Now when you want to work on the edge of something large, you can do that as well. Simply run the jaw down to the end of the rods. Or if you want, slide it off and turn it around. Now by doing this, I can push top and bottom. I have double the pushing power. So I usually spin it around in this position, like so. And we'll loosen up our end stop so we can measure again. Here, I'll hold this piece. Say you're holding a door or something large, you can either measure it and mark it on your bench, or you just put it up there to get a general idea of where you need to go. Clamp down your end stop. You have a flush surface here now on the side of the end stop. It always positions the same way on your bench, so it's real easy to use this. Put your piece of work in there and just come down here to tighten it up. Now you can work on the edge of something large. In fact, in any size, you're only limited by your workbench or whatever you're attached to. This is great for chiseling out for hinges and that sort of thing. And again, it is secure because you have that whole workbench, whatever you're attached to support it. Now you notice in your book, there's a bar clamp position. Let me get the book real quick, because it's exactly the same position as I'm showing you right here. The only difference is, if you can see this, you attach it to a 2x2 or a 2x4 instead of the workbench. It's exactly the same position. You're just using a 2x2, 2x4, or any piece of stock to make any size bar clamp or sash clamp that you need. Same position, okay? Now, it also comes with centers. And centers are great for holding any kind of an awkward shape. I use these in my house for sanding and painting. Wood carvers enjoy these too. If you're going to carve a gun stock or some kind of an awkward shape, they're really terrific. something like this, for example. Now once again, set your work up so you can measure your end stop, see where you're going to need it. You just have to get it close, tighten it down, slip your piece of work on that little steel cup, and just come down here to tighten it up. And again, in any size, you can hold your awkward shapes. If you put it in loosely, it allows it to spin. If you give it a little more pressure, because of the concave steel cups there, it will lock it down pretty good. You'll find that you can do carving if you're chamfering off, that sort of thing. It'll hold it fairly securely that way. And of course, any size. You can put one end stop on one sawhorse, the clamp on another, hold the mast of a boat in here if you needed to. Now there's a few other interesting accessories. Let me get this down. Take off my centers. As you have lower soft jaws. Now these are great. These will work either just in the vise itself. It'll work with the end stop as well. They simply clip in here, and this protects all your polished woods, plastics, formicas. They clip into the jaw just as easily. And again, now you have those soft jaws that you can work in any size. If you have a large piece of polished wood or something, this way you won't damage your work. Okay, lower soft jaws. Now, let me remove the clamp from the bench, as I have two more attachments to show you. Remove my bench clamps, and I need to turn my jaw around here so I have it back as a standard vise. Slide that on, because I want to show you the turntable attachment. Now this allows you to set angles with the Gripmaster. You have a turntable, and you have two T-bolts that come with it. Now that'll attach to either jaw. It really doesn't make any difference. I find in most applications it's handier to have it on the stationary jaw that's down here by the handle. The T-bolts simply slip through and slide into the slots right on the base of the vise there, and you can tighten them up. But this allows you to set your angles. Now your bench clamps, rather than going on the vise itself, go on the turntable. There's a number of ways you can set them up. You can put them on both bars, as I'm doing now. And this will give you a bench vise right over the top of your bench. Just tighten down your clamps, and again, finger and thumb pressure, and now you have a vise right over the top of the bench. It's pretty handy for a number of different purposes. Or you can reverse it by spinning it the other way. You have a vise that's free of the bench. That's handy for big awkward shapes. You can actually hold something that can go completely around the vise. Now, of course, with your T-bolts, you can set any angle you need over the top of the bench. And if you only clamp it in one bar, let me show you here. Change your clamps to just the upper bar. Now you can do compound angles. Slip it back on the bench and tighten down your clamps. And now you can do compound angles. Tighten it loosely, set the angle that you need this way. Go ahead and tighten down your clamps. Now you can set whatever angle you need this way. Tighten down your T-bolts, and you can get any compound angle that's possible in your vise. It's very good. The wood carvers really love this position. You're holding an awkward shape. You need to get to a certain side or area. This will allow you to do it. Now, one more interesting attachment that comes with it. Let me just set this back up vertically and lock it in, and I'll show you the drill attachment. Now for this, we're going to go ahead and take off the movable jaw altogether. And this is your drill holder. This will turn the Gripmaster into a drill press. You can use it for grinding, polishing, that sort of thing. Let me get a drill and I'll show you. Now it is important that you have a drill with a collar. Every major manufacturer, Black & Decker, Skill, Makita, everyone I know of now makes drills with collars. They're very handy because then you can use those steadying handles on your drill when you're drilling. If you don't have a collar on your drill, there is another option. Go down to the hardware store and see if they have the adapter that's made for drills. You remove your chuck, you put on the collar adapter, put your chuck back on, and again, that allows you to use our drill holder. You can't use it if you don't have a drill with a collar or an adapter on it. Now the little ring that comes in the drill holder, that's to adapt it to any size. In this case, it's much too large for my drill, so we simply slide the ring up on my collar, and then slide that into the drill holder, and allows you to hold just about any drill made. Now, slip this on, and we have a drill holder, or a drill press. You can set angles if you're doing a a compound angle over your bench. Set any compound angle that you need. That's something that's very difficult to do with a standard drill press. And once you get again with the angle you're looking for, simply tighten everything down. You can repeat that same angle or hole over and over again on different pieces. If you want to use it as a grinder for polishing, sharpening tools, that sort of thing, we'll just turn it around. It doesn't matter which way you want to place it. Tighten it down, and we'll go ahead and let it spin over the top of the bench. Now you can put your grinding wheel or polisher on here. You can use the stationary jaw as your tool rest. It's really handy for sharpening chisels and that sort of thing. And that is the basic grips of the tool. As I said, the instruction book is the most important thing for learning how to use this. Step by step, it shows you every grip that I've shown you here. It shows you how to set up the pieces. It describes what pieces you're going to use. The more you use your Gripmaster, the better and easier it'll be for you to use. The more practice you get, it'll become like second nature to you. I know you're going to love the tool. And that's the Gripmaster, the all-purpose clamping system from Clark National Products. Now don't touch that VCR. I have a brand new product from Germany to show you, and if you ever do any woodworking at all or just any work around the house, you're going to love this product. It's called the Flexoplan sander from Germany, and it does just about anything you can do with any sander made, much faster, much simpler, and you really have to see it to believe it. So I'm going to show it to you. Here's one that's put together. And you can see the secret of the tool is right here on the back. You see that nut? When it's tight, it's like any other disc sander. But when you loosen it, it frees up the flexible core. And that's really the whole secret to the unit. And let me show you what a difference that makes. Now, of course, normally, with a disc sander, you don't even use them for woodworking. Let me tighten up the nut here. Because when you try and sand with it, it dances instead of sands. The only thing you can do is use the edge. And so primarily we use them for grinding. They're really not much good for woodworking at all. But watch the difference. When I loosen this nut and free up that flexible core, the Flexoplan is the only sander that you can hold flat against the surface and sand smoothly. Now, can you see how fast that smoothed that down? It's about 3 times as fast as a belt sander or vibration sander. Even those real expensive Bosch orbitals and so on, this works much, much quicker. Now also, this is not sandpaper. It's a special material made in Switzerland. It's called Corund. It'll outlast sandpaper about 30 to 1. They're also Velcro backed, which makes it very easy to change your different grit discs. It does come in 4 different grits. This is a 60 grit that I'm using right here, and I'll show you all the grits in a second. But you just change the grit. It's just that simple and easy. You don't need a screwdriver and wrenches. Now, to really show you how tough this is, we're going to have to abuse it a little bit. And I have a drill over here mounted in the holder just to show you. Hold it steady, and we'll do some abuse here. This is a case-hardened file. Now you know if you try that with paper, you would ruin it instantly, throw it away, and buy some more. Of course, that's the problem with paper. Use it over and over. But as you can see, you can't even tell the difference here. Here's the one I'm using and a brand new one. You can't tell the difference. It's like it's never been used. It will outlast sandpaper about 30 to 1. Now here's a real good test that shows you how tough it is. If you've ever been working and sanding, you run into a nail, a sharp corner, again, you tear your paper, you have to replace it, you have to go back to the store and buy some more. We'll slip on that 60 grit, make sure the nut's loose on our flexible core, and first we'll grind down the nail. And then we sand the wood. Without scratches, you can see the nail in there. You can't feel it. It's absolutely smooth. And you notice we haven't hurt the paper. Now, it also comes with a cleaning stick. One swipe with this, and it's just like new. Isn't it amazing material? Now, again, it does come in 4 different grits. Here's the 400 grit. This is a wet, dry, very, very fine, smooth paper. And let me show you what this is good for besides sanding. We use this at home for sharpening all of our knives, tools, scissors, chisels, that sort of thing. It does a terrific job. Let me show you how to do your sharpening with it. Now you always want to keep the sharp edge in the direction of the spin. If you go back into it, you can cut the disc. Just turn it the other way. And you can do a whole drawer full of knives with this in just about a minute. Takes about 4 strikes to get a very, very sharp edge on there. Any kind of tools too, whatever it is. So it's very, very useful around the house for all of your tools and knives and scissors and so on. Now let me show you really the amazing part about this machine, how fast we can get a smooth surface out of something rough like this. This is a piece of fence board. Very, very rough. And by the way, it works on any type of wood, hardwoods, oak, does a terrific job. It works on glass, metal, paint, and because of the cleaning stick, you can remove that paint right off of there and go back to work with it. It doesn't clog up. But let me show you how fast we can get a real smooth surface here. Okay, we're going to start with a 60 grit. And I need this for about 5 seconds. Make sure you have that nut loose. You want that flexible core. 5 seconds with a 60 grit. Okay, now we'll switch over to the 150. Next grit down. Another 5 seconds. Oh, my nut slipped back on. Loosen that up. Okay, now we need 5 seconds with the 220 grit. And last but not least, we'll give it another 5 seconds with the 400. Get it on straight, and you can see the ease of changing your disc because of the Velcro. That's something I like about it. 5 more seconds. And I know you can't feel this at home, but that is as smooth. It feels like a piece of Formica. In 20 seconds, you can put that kind of a finish on just about any surface whatsoever. And of course, to clean your discs, you use the cleaning stick. And they look just like new. Let me get all these clean. Now the Flexoplan comes as a complete kit. Only takes a second to clean up your disc. It's sure a lot easier than running down the store and buying more sandpaper. One more disc here. Now it comes as a complete kit. There you are, all just like brand new. Now the kit that we showed you here, you have the large disc that I've been using. There's also a small disc here. This one is designed for use in tighter, smaller, more delicate work. Works the same way. The flexible shaft will fit on either one of them, so you can switch back and forth with it. Now, you have 4 grits of discs, as I said before. There's 60 grit. There's 4 discs in each package, too. And remember, each one of these outlasts sandpaper about 30 to 1. So this is practically a year's supply if you do some serious sanding work around your house. You have a package of the 150 grit, the 220 grit, and last but not least, the 400 grit, wet and dry. This is the one you can use wet too if you're wet sanding something. You get the whole kit through this special offer for only $49.95. And don't forget, we throw in a cleaning stick too to keep your disc working and sanding like new. The Flexoplan sanding system from Germany. It outdoes any sander ever designed. You'll love it.
The Flexoplan sanding system from Germany is now only $49.95 complete. That means no additional shipping and handling expense. Just call our toll-free number, 1-800-999-4009, or send a check or money order to Clark National Products, Flexoplan, 5234 South Procyon Avenue, Las Vegas, Nevada, 89118. The Flexoplan sanding system is backed by a full 30-day money-back guarantee. Just call 1-800-999-4009 to order yours today.